What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my betting breakdown video for UFC San Diego. We have Marlon Vera going against Dominic Cruz.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we're back for another betting breakdown video this week, breaking down a very good card, a 13-fight card in UFC San Diego. I do have, I think, 7 or 8 bets on this card, so definitely looking forward to it. I think it's a pretty good betting card, honestly. Lots of good spots sticking out, so can't wait to break it all down. Before we do so, if you guys can please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Lots of content throughout the week, and as always, going to be breaking down these bets from, or these fights from a betting perspective and a betting perspective only. If you do want a further, more in-depth breakdown on why I like which fight, on why I am betting what, I did post a full card breakdown and prediction video on Tuesday and did do a live stream on Friday, so check both those out. And also, we'll be going live Saturday afternoon before the fights for best bets, so check me out there. Going to be going through, giving the best bet for each and every fight on the card on Saturday on fight day, and then also talking it up with the chat as well. So make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on that. But we have a lot to talk about, a lot of betting action for me. So I say we get right into it, starting with the first fight of the night. We have Youssef Zalal going against Damon Blackshear. This is a fight that I do not have a bet on, but the one thing I was looking at was the fight goes to decision. It's currently minus 190 on DraftKings. Kind of tempted on that. You take a look at both their losses, right? 9 combined losses, none of them coming inside the distance, which is very impressive, especially considering some of the competition both guys have been facing. You know, Blackshear's fought guys like Pat Sabatini, Danny Sabatello. Youssef Zalal has fought guys like Aaliyah Tapora, Sungwoo Choi, very good competition for both guys. I think the fight goes to decision is a pretty solid look here, and it's not completely overpriced. Did not quite get there myself, but I think that was what I would kind of look at if I was betting this fight. But I think I'm going to sit back, pass on this one. As far as the pick goes, I'm going to slightly lean Zalal, but I think it's going to be a very close fight regardless. So give me Zalal for the win, but the fight goes to decision would kind of be what I'm looking at there. Next we have Josh Quinlan going against Jason Witt. This was a fight that was supposed to happen last week, and apparently there was, traces of, some stuff in, Quinlan's system and, all this, but it got moved to this week. Everything's good to go, and my prediction has stayed the same. I like Quinlan to win, and I like Quinlan to win by knockout. The fight doesn't go to decision, minus 205. I think if you're on the Quinlan side, you probably like that. It's much better than the money line. It's really hard for me to see Quinlan winning a decision here. If you like Jason Witt, DraftKings Sportsbook has that decision-only prop, and the decision-only prop for Jason Witt is like minus 120. I think that's a really good way to play Jason Witt. Jason Witt, not much of a finisher. And if this fight does finish, you got to believe it's Josh Quinlan landing a knockout shot, and I'm kind of leaning that way. Again, no bet here for me. I think these props are a little bit overpriced. You have Quinlan by knockouts, like minus 110. I guess it's okay if you really like him. Quinlan inside the distance, minus 150. Jason Witt's been finished 8 times, and Quinlan does have that 100% finish rate. But overall, just a pretty sketchy fight. I'm going to stay away from it, but the pick is going to be Quinlan for sure. Next, we have Osborne going against Tyson Nam. We have Tyson Nam, who's taken a year and a half off. Apparently, he had a surgery. He is now 38 years old at 125 pounds. A huge red flag. But yeah, this line's kind of blown out. Osborne is now minus 270 here, and I don't really love that. Osborne, I do think he absolutely should be favored. He's much younger. He's much bigger. He's higher output. Tyson Nam, he's known for that huge power, but very low output. Osborne also has a sneaky grappling game as well. So Osborne absolutely should be favored, but Osborne does have a 42% striking defense. He does slow down as the fight goes on, and I would not really feel comfortable laying minus 270 on Osborne here. If anything, I was kind of looking at the Tyson Nam knockout prop. It's currently sitting at plus 500 on FanDuel Sportsbook and some other books as well. I think that's how he wins. Tyson Nam is not going to go out here and win minutes. It's not what he does. He goes out there and gets knockout shots, and he hits like a truck. The volume's not there. If I was playing this fight in any type of way, it would be that Nam knockout prop, which again is plus 500, but I'm going to pass on this fight. The pick is Ode. I think he's more active. I think he's younger, and I think both those things are going to be key here. It's hard to trust a 38-year-old at 125 pounds, coming off a big layoff in an injury. I think Ode Osborne should win this fight and by decision. Moving on, we have Gabriel Benitez going against Charlie Ontiveros. A very frustrating fight from a betting perspective here. It's clear as day, looking for some violence here. If you guys know me, you guys know I love the violence, but there's nothing you can really play here. It's kind of like the McKinney fight last week where a fight won't start round 2 is like minus 250. McKinney in round 1's like minus 200, and it's kind of the same thing here. The fight doesn't go in this fight's minus 500. The under 1.5 is like minus 260 at this point. So they're basically saying this fight is probably going to end in the first round, and we really don't want you to have any action on it. So no really way to play this fight. If anything, maybe look at the fight doesn't go as a parlay piece, but a lot of the books just don't have any props out. It looks like FanDuel and DraftKings right now do not have any props out for this fight. Benitez should go through Ontiveros here in the very first round, but again, there's not much value on these props. I think on BetOnline they have Benitez round 1. It's like plus 160. I don't know. I mean, I think Benitez should roll through Ontiveros, but not really anything sticking out from a betting perspective. All right. No bets yet, but I promise I have a lot of action on this card, and it's pretty much all on the main card. Cynthia Calvillo, Nina Nunes, not much to say here. No way I would bet this fight. No way would I feel comfortable laying chalk on this fight. And Calvillo is a very popular bet this week, which is interesting because I would not be able to trust either fighter here. You have narrative things on both sides. You have Calvillo on a 3-fight skid, quit in her last fight. She has the OnlyFans now. Nina Nunes, she's getting up there in age. She's looked horrible the last several years. This is a pass for me. Not much to say. There was no way I would ever bet on this fight. So easy pass there. Let us move on to the next fight. Martin Buday going against Lucas Bresky, and this is where the action begins for me. I have 2 bets on this fight. The first one is going to be the fight doesn't go to decision, and I got it at minus 125, and I have 1.5 units on it. Money was pouring in on the over 1.5 to the point where DraftKings put the fight doesn't go at minus 125, and after I placed that bet, like an hour later, it got better. It got to minus 120 for the fight doesn't go to decision. Let me just remind you guys, Buday and Bresky have a higher combined finish rate than Benitez and Ontiveros. And Benitez-Ontiveros fight doesn't go minus 500. And Buday-Bresky is a heavyweight fight. The line just does not make much sense to me there. On FanDuel, it's still minus 164. I think that's playable. On top of that, just stylistically, right? Bresky has 3 minutes of cardio, if that. Bresky, I saw him at the weigh-ins. He looks like a completely different guy. Like, go take a look at Bresky's Sherdog picture and compare it to the weigh-ins. 2 different people. So the gas tank's terrible for Bresky. And on top of that, Buday's going to have 30 to 40 pounds on Bresky here. Buday's going to wear on this guy. He's going to get him tired, and he's going to get him out of here. So I know the over 1.5 was like the play of the week, very popular. I think it could hit, but it's going to be very sweaty when Bresky gasses out on the walk out to the cage. So I think the fight doesn't go to decisions. A very good look. Martin Buday has never won a 15-minute decision. He's never been 15 minutes. He had that decision against Barnett in his last fight. It was like a minute into the third or so, and had that illegal shot, went to decision there. And then his very first fight, his pro debut, he did go to decision, but it was only a 2-round decision, 10 minutes total. He has never been 15 minutes. This is a heavyweight fight. Both guys are finishers. If Bresky wins, it's probably in the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds, because that is about how much gas he does have. So fight doesn't go 1.5 units, minus 125 for me. And then I also have Martin Buday in a parlay, and I got that at minus 280. Had to jump on, especially after seeing Bresky at the weigh-ins. Looks like two different people. And you know that on his Contender Series fight, he did get caught with PEDs. He got the suspension, and we can clearly see that he's not the same guy anymore. So I think Buday rolls here. I think Buday gets him out of there in that second round. Closing out the parlay. So I have Martin Buday parlayed with Lupita Godinez, and I have 2 units on that at minus 129. If you guys know me, you guys know I typically don't do the parlays. I'm very cautious with doing these, but these are 2 fighters I really do like, and I really do like to win this week. Lupita Godinez, minus 350. Let's see where I parlayed her at. I think like minus 125. And yeah, I guess you could say the line is a tad wide, but I really do like Godinez to win this fight here. Angela Hill, she was getting taken down easy in her last fight against Verna Jandiroba. Jandiroba's a phenomenal black belt, wizard on the mat, but her wrestling is not great. Lupita Godinez has phenomenal wrestling, and Angela Hill getting up there in age. She has not looked good in her last several fights. She's 1-4 in her last 5 fights. Lupita Godinez is much younger. She's much stronger, really good wrestler. I think Godinez kind of grinds this one out and wins a decision. So I like Godinez here to win. I like Godinez as a parlay piece. If you want to improve that price tag, Godinez by decision is minus 155, minus 150. Godinez round 3 or decision, I think, is like minus 175. I think that is a good way to kind of improve that price tag of Godinez. And I think fight goes to decision is also a good parlay piece. Lupita Godinez has the worst finish rate on the entire card, 26%. She does have one finish, I believe, in the UFC. And then Angela Hill, the second worst finish rate on the entire card. So I think the fight goes to decision is a good parlay piece. I think Loopy is a good parlay piece, and I think Loopy by decision is a good way to look as well. If you like Angela Hill, you probably play her by decision, but I think it's a really tough matchup for her. All right, moving on, we have Bruno Silva going against Gerald Meerschaert. I do have a bet here, and I think I have a bet on all but one of these fights on the main card. So the first fight on the main card here is Bruno Silva, Gerald Meerschaert. The bet I do have is 1.5 units on the fight won't start round 3, minus 200 on DraftKings Sportsbook. I really don't think this fight's going to start round 2, but I do like getting that extra round just in case. I mean, stylistically, we have a striker in Bruno Silva who has a ton of power, and we have a very dangerous grappler in Gerald Meerschaert. If this fight hits the mat, Gerald Meerschaert is going to be very live for a sub, and when this fight is on the feet, Bruno Silva is going to be very live for a knockout. It's hard to see this fight getting extended. I think Silva starches Meerschaert in the very first round, but yeah, if this fight touches the mat in any type of way, whether it's, Silva is content to follow Meerschaert on the mat, and that's happened a lot in the career of Meerschaert. Guys are content to go on top and land ground and pound, and Meerschaert's able to, lock something up, and that could happen here potentially. Silva has been submitted 5 times, but I think the most likely scenario is Silva goes out there and starches Meerschaert in the first couple minutes. So I like the fight doesn't go as a parlay piece. I like the fight won't start round 3. That's the bet I have, 1.5 units minus 200 on DraftKings. And then I like the under 1.5. I think even like the fight won't start round 2 is kind of sneaky at plus money, but like I said, I do like getting that extra round, those 2 rounds there. If this made it to the third, I'd be pretty surprised. So next we have Ariana Lipski going against Priscilla Ketchup-Beating. I have a half unit shot on the fight, doesn't go to decision here, plus 130. This was another fight that was moved from last week. Lipski missed weight. She went to the hospital. She was sick or whatever, and this fight is now happening now at 135 pounds, though. So, yeah, same thoughts from last week. I think Lipski is going to be very live to get a finish here, really anywhere the fight goes. I know Priscilla Ketchup-Beating is extremely tough, but she eats 8 punches per minute. She blocks punches with her face, and Lipski, what she does have is a lot of power. She has multiple knockdowns in the UFC. I could see Lipski hurting Cachoeira, and if Lipski gets this fight down to the mat, Lipski is going to be live for a submission. Cachoeira has been submitted twice, and Lipski does have a very sneaky submission game. So I think Lipski is very live for a finish here. On the flip side, if Cachoeira does win, it is going to be by knockout. Cachoeira hits extremely hard. She's going to pressure. She's going to try to break Lipski, and that could very well be on the table as well. So I think the fight doesn't go to decision. Got it at plus 130, half a unit on it. It's around plus 125. I think that is still a pretty good look. Next, we have Azamat Murzakanov going against Devin Clark. Yeah, this is the one fight I don't have a bet on, but I am kind of tempted on the Murzakanov side. The one problem is with Murzakanov, I don't like the cardio. I don't like the output. I don't like the minute-winning ability, but he is super dangerous. So if I was looking at anything here, it's kind of the Murzakanov by knockout, which is plus 175, or Murzakanov inside the distance at plus 105. Didn't quite pull the trigger. Honestly, I'd like a little bit better odds on that. But Devin Clark is a very popular underdog this week, and I totally get it. Devin Clark's probably going to be the minute winner at times, especially if this fight gets extended. Devin Clark is going to have the better cardio, and there's a lot of question marks still about Murzakanov. So, I was looking at Murzakanov inside the distance, plus 105, ended up passing. I think I'm just going to pass on this fight, sit back and watch it, but I kind of lean Murzakanov to win inside the distance, but no bet on that. Yasmin Jauregui going against Lasmin Lucindo. Jauregui is minus 210, and Lucindo is plus 180. I do have a bet here as well. I have the fight doesn't go to decision. Got it at plus 150, and I have a half a unit on that. That line has moved a little bit. It's still around plus 130. I think it's worth a shot here. We have 2 fighters that are both very, very good finishers. Jauregui, if you go watch her, she is a savage on the feet. She looks for the finish at any point in the fight. She's going to come forward, throw a ton of volume, and she has power in her strikes. Lucindo, she's a very good wrestler, very good grappler. When she gets on top, she's extremely dangerous, and she is also a very good finisher. Of course, it's hard to kind of gauge where both these fighters are because they have not fought the best competition. But, stylistically, if Jauregui is able to stuff the takedowns here and keep it on the feet, she's going to have a massive advantage, and I think she's really going to hurt Lucindo. Lucindo has been finished in 3 of her 4 losses. Jauregui, a very good finisher. I think Jauregui does finish Lucindo in this fight at some point. I think it could be early if she's able to stuff the takedowns. I think it could be late if Lucindo does slow down for going and using that wrestling heavy game plan. Lucindo is coming here on short notice. Lucindo did cut down to 115 for the first time in a couple years as well. And I think Horegi eventually finds his finish here. So fight doesn't go to decision, plus 150, half a unit. Horegi inside the distance, plus 200. I don't mind it, but I like that fight doesn't go, kind of covers both sides, because Lucindo is very dangerous in her own right as well. Next, we have David Onama going against Nate Landwehr. I have a half of unit on Onama inside the distance, minus 105 on BetOnline. This line doesn't make sense to me. I mean, Onama is literally minus 330. He's a huge favorite, and his inside the distance line is only minus 105. Like, that doesn't make a ton of sense. Onama has a 100% finish rate, and you got to believe if Onama does win this fight, it's going to be inside the distance. Nate Landwehr, 3 of 4 losses come inside the distance, 2 of those coming by knockout, and 2 of those knockouts coming inside the UFC against Julian Erosa and against Herbert Burns. And I think Onama hits harder than both those guys combined, right? So Landwehr, he's a tough guy, but man, he's super hittable. Onama's going to land some huge shots. I think Onama puts him out here, and probably in the very first round. If this fight does get extended, it could get a little bit interesting. Nate Landwehr is a dog. He is going to be there, but my goodness, he's going to take a lot of shots, and I think Onama finishes him early. So like Onama, minus 330 is a bit much, but the inside the distance line at minus 105 near pick'em just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. This guy's a finisher with a 100% finish rate. He's never won a decision. Has never won a fight that's been over 2.5 rounds. I think he has maybe one or two third-round finishes early on in the third round, but this guy's a finisher regardless, and I think he does finish Nate Landwehr here. All right, main event, we have Marlon Vera going against Dominic Cruz, and I do have 2 bets here. I have a very big bet. The first bet is the scorecards equals no action, or the finish only is what they call it on DraftKings. They call it decision no bet on FanDuel. This is a bet that I've been doing the last several months, and been having success with it for the most part. But this is one I had circled for like a couple weeks. I was like, man, if they give me a playable line here on Marlon Vera finish only, I'm just going to smash it, and we'll talk about why. But BetOnline had it at minus 325. I put 5 units on it for a max play there, and still on DraftKings Sportsbook, they have it at 360, minus 360. And that line doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I mean, we'll take a look at the minus 325. That is about a 76% implied probability. So you're telling me if there is a finish in this fight, Dominic Cruz gets a finish about 1 out of 4 times? I just don't buy it. I honestly think if there's a finish in this fight, Marlon Vera is getting that finish 9 out of 10 times, which is minus 900. And the reason I say that is because you take a look at their finish rates. Marlon Vera is a finisher. About an 80% finish rate there, a couple by knockout, a couple by sub, and never been finished. 29 fights, never been finished, 7 losses, all by decision. Dominic Cruz, a 33% finish rate. A 33% finish rate. And he's been finishing 2 of his 3 losses, so Marlon Vera is the better finisher by a mile, and Marlon Vera is more durable by a mile. So that line at minus 325, it just does not make a ton of sense to me. I think it should be much, much wider. And here are a couple more numbers. Marlon Vera has 15 finishes in the last 10 years. Dominic Cruz has 3 finishes in the last 15 years. I just don't buy that he's going out there and finishing a guy like Marlon Vera. That's not his style. That's not what he's going to do. He's going to try to, stay on the outside, lots of movement. He tries his best not to get hit, not to engage in a war. I would just be highly surprised if he finished a guy like Marlon Vera here. So yeah, I think if there's a finish in this fight, Marlon Vera is getting that finish 9 out of 10 times. And I think the other time that this fight finishes and Cruz gets that finish win, I think it's like a cut stoppage or like an injury. I mean, it's just very hard to see Cruz finishing this fight. So I have 5 units on that, minus 325. And then I also saw on the flip side, the decision only on DraftKings, they have the decision only at plus 150, which also it just does not make a ton of sense to me. We have Dominic Cruz, who is going to be the minute winner in this fight. Dominic Cruz is going to be outlanding Marlon Vera. Dominic Cruz is going to win the first round automatically. Marlon Vera never wins first rounds. Dominic Cruz has the wrestling advantage. So Dominic Cruz is going to be the minute winner here, and I think if this does go to decision, he's going to look a lot better than plus 150, right? If Marlon Vera wins this fight, I think it is going to be inside the distance. I think it is going to eventually finish Dominic Cruz, and that's actually what I'm picking. I'm picking a Marlon Vera 4th round finish. But if this fight does go to decision, I think Cruz is super left. So that plus 150, if you like Dominic Cruz, that is something you should absolutely be looking at, is that plus 150 decision only on DraftKings for Dominic Cruz. And I actually did take a half-unit shot on that at plus 150, because if this fight does go to decision, I feel like it'll be a lot closer than the plus 150 does indicate there. So best case scenario for me is that finish only, 5 units minus 325, Marlon Vera getting that finish. Worst case scenario is Dominic Cruz going out there and finishing the very tough, the very durable Marlon Vera, and I just hope that's not the case there. But I think that's a good way to play it. The finish only for Vera, the decision only for Cruz. Cruz by decision is plus 225. I think that's better than his money line there. Marlon Vera inside the distance could be something to look at as well, which is plus 125. But I'm personally picking Marlon Vera to go out there, eventually find something, finish Dominic Cruz, and win the fight there. So I'm hoping that 5-unit bet hits. But the worst thing that can happen is a Dominic Cruz finish. So I'm hoping that does not happen there. So quickly recap the bets there. 5 units, Marlon Vera, scorecards equals no action. The finish only minus 325. Lipsky Cachoeira, fight doesn't go to decision, plus 130, half a unit. Horegi Lucindo, fight doesn't go to decision, plus 150, half a unit. Bresky Budai, fight doesn't go to decision, 1.5 units, minus 125. Dominic Cruz, decision only on DraftKings, the opposite of finish only, plus 150, half a unit. The fight won't start round 3, minus 200, 1.5 units. Silva Mearshart. Onama wins inside the distance, half a unit, minus 105. And then the parlay to kick it off here, or to wrap it up here, we have Godinez, parlay with Budai, 2 units, minus 129. Best of luck, guys, on all of your action. Leave a like on your way out, subscribe. I'm going to have Contender Series content coming Monday. Going to be having UFC 278 content as well out on Monday. So lots of stuff to look forward to. Best of luck, guys, and let us make some money for UFC San Diego. See you later.